One thing that has come back up lately is how we've been brainwashed out of trusting our own gut feelings, and that so many of us end up with gut issues. I'm Moses Farrow, trauma therapist, educator, and activist, and this is Adoption Deprogrammed, where we unpack the lies and expose the truths about human trafficking. So let's get into it. Why do so many of us who've been victims in this child supply market end up with gut issues? It starts with trauma and what causes it. To understand what happens to our guts, we need to understand what has happened to our brains first. The truth is, it doesn't happen when we're born. The truth is, it starts with our mothers. Our mothers have been growing up in a world that has been telling them adoption is in the best interest of your child. They hear that over and over as they grow up. It's reinforced in the stories they read, movies they watch. They are bombarded with adoption being celebrated. Then, when they get pregnant and are faced with a decision, they hear adoption is an option. They may hear this from their church leaders, doctors, and friends. Often they are told by their parents or partners, you can't keep that baby. You must give it up for adoption. You can imagine what this does to their baby and the baby's developing brain. The mother's stress and trauma get passed along the biochemical link between them. What doesn't come up is the industry targeting women for their babies to sell them in a child supply market. This is not a black market. It's not a back alley, backdoor deal making anymore. Our mothers are put under immense pressure, sent away. They flee, find themselves in group homes where they are told they will be cared for and safe. They find out only too late that they were lied to. It's under these circumstances in which our brains develop. Our brains are wired for trauma. This occurs before we're born. So we are born into the same world as our mothers and fathers who have been groomed and brainwashed to be suppliers for the human trafficking child supply market. This means we are also groomed and brainwashed with the same messages and stories and celebrations of adoption. The industry has maintained and grown its profits based on this house of cards. And all it takes is one of us to question, to wonder, to be curious what it is we're not being told. What is this feeling that something is not right? That those of us who dare to question are abused, beaten, silenced, and somehow go missing and disappear. That brings us back to our gut instinct and how hard the industry works to disconnect us from ourselves. It does everything possible to disrupt, to distract, to dissuade us from this gut feeling. However, the trauma the industry causes is infused in the very cells of our bodies. For a long time, we have been blamed, pathologized, misdiagnosed, medicated, and lived with the guilt of not fitting into the picture of adoption. More recently, the human trafficking industry has partnered with the healthcare industry, and together they have figured out a way to use our trauma and turn it into another profit-making market for both industries. Experts and leaders, therapists and psychologists are sending out the message that the cause of our trauma is relinquishment, abandonment, and loss. This builds off the attitudes that vilify our mothers and fathers, that supports the idea of the primal wound, and promotes the promise of healing with trauma-informed therapies. In essence, it ensures that we remain brainwashed and preoccupied with our own traumas for the rest of our lives. Our bodies, our guts are trying to tell us something is not right. Instead of being empowered to follow our guts, we are misdiagnosed, medicated, and fed the same propaganda that has kept us from the truth for generations. Well, I'm here to say, trust your guts, Reframe your relationship with your body to appreciate it for sounding the alarm and not giving up on you. Let me validate your gut feeling with the truth. The truth is, you are a victim of an industry that has targeted, victimized, dehumanized, and commodified our mothers and fathers to exploit them for their bodies and children for profit. The human trafficking industry has used adoption as propaganda to run this multi-billion-dollar global child supply market. Only in truth can we begin our recovery. Consider this your deprogramming lesson of the day. Let me know if this resonates with you, what you've been feeling, and how you've been listening to your gut more. Thank you for supporting my channel, and if you haven't already, please subscribe. See you next time.